All right, so welcome back to the AM show. Let's take you to the northeast and talk about what has been happening there. You know that over the past few days we've been reporting about a torrential rainfall that caused a lot of havoc in that part of the country. A main bridge even was destroyed. The road was also destroyed, as you are watching on the screens now. Farmlands have been taken over by water. It's difficult for people in that part of the country to really go about their daily activities like they used to because of the impact of this flooding situation. Now, the minister for that region, Yidana Zakaria, has been touring these situations. I've been touring these places to assess the extent of damage, and he joins us on the line. We would also be joined by our Northeast regional correspondent. He would also be joining us. He's also with us here. And we also have the NADMO director joining us as well. Good morning to you. Grateful that you could join us.
Yeah, good morning to you and to your cherished listeners.
Let me start with you, Mr. Zakaria. You have been to these places. What did you see?
Thank you for the question. What is left behind is destruction. What is left behind is large swaths of farmland washed away, crops submerging in water, several homes have been destroyed, and portions of our roads have been washed away. That is what has been left behind, and it gives a very disturbing situation.
Okay. So Honorable, we understand that since the Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways came in, you started some remedial works, but that is not the entire solution. What have you planned to do to bring an end to this? Because the dam has broken its banks. It needs to be reconstructed, and to ensure that we don't experience what we're experiencing. What is the plan?
Ever since these issues came to the fore, wherever we are, we go with our engineer. And we even invited the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority zonal official for the northern sector. He came and visited some of the dams. He has assured us he's putting together his report, because the dams are constructed along the road, and that, according to him, can be a potential danger, and they will need to do some re-engineering. The roads, we move along with the regional directors, urban roads, highways, and feeder roads. They see the situation on the ground, and you listen to them, they tell you that they would need to do some re-engineering work. Was the culverts and bridges that were constructed some time ago do not seem now to be able to carry the huge volumes of water. And so some re-engineering has to be done if we have to construct the broken bridges and culverts. And in some areas, they said they need to raise the height of the road some level, so that can help in redirecting water to pass through the bridges and culverts. So that is the engineering bit of it. The houses that have been flooded and collapsed, if you observe critically, all those houses are on low-lying areas. So the NADMO officials are advising people whose homes have been destroyed not again to build on such low-lying areas. They should move to higher ground. And we will stand on that and speak with people to understand that if they come back to the same low-lying areas, next time they are raised, the same fate will befall them. So in that area of rebuilding, we think that it will be a no-no for anybody who wants to come back and build on those low-lying areas. What we cannot do is the farmland. Because, land is scarce. Where people farm, if it is a low-lying area, we don't have the option to say that we will move you to a higher ground. Those of them who farm rice, and the valleys are quite rich, they are fertile, so they do early cropping. That has been washed away. So, seriously speaking, that is an area we all need to brainstorm. Because if you tell them not to farm there, the question is, where else do they have to go and farm? So that one, I think, we need it to fix. But those issues that we can deal with, we are dealing with them. Government support has come in, but government cannot do all for us. So I have always been on my knees using your medium to call on corporate Ghana and individuals who can come to our aid within and outside this country to come to this young region that is facing very serious challenges now. I think that is what I have to say.
What kind of support has government brought in? You spoke about it, but we don't know the details.
When portions of roads were washed away, initial response from government, very swift, was to fix the roads to make them motorable. And we are very thankful for that. So some of the areas that were cut off have been fixed and people can now move. But there are still areas that have to be worked on. And to be honest with you, when I was at Bintiri yesterday, Bintiri to Beduri Road cannot be fixed anytime soon. If you see the volumes of water, no contractor can redirect the water to be able to do any meaningful work to reconnect the communities there. That may take some months until the water recedes. So the engineers were there and we couldn't see it. We had to come back. So for those areas, it's like we may have to wait for some 2 to 3 months for the water to recede so that they can be accessed. Well, no contractor will risk his men and equipment to go to those areas. Same is the story in some parts of the Tripoli district. The DCE and the MP have tried severally to reach out to some areas, and they have not been able to. And the MP is still at home, Honorable Razak. The DCE is at home. Myself, I wanted to go there today. We are even thinking of how to get access. Because I wanted to drive through the Uyo district to the place. But that appears not to be possible.
But is the Palugu Dam close to you? The proposed Palugu Dam, is it close to you?
Oh, Palugu Dam, more or less, is in the northeast region.
Okay.
But for the river, it's only when they overflow the bank that communities around will be inundated with water. But the several years of education by your media and others, people have now come to understand that they cannot every year go through the same experience. So if you get to hear from people, it's only farmlands that have been submerged. The communities themselves are not in those low-lying areas. So in that regard, our biggest worry is the farms that have been flooded. But for human life, thanks be to our Maker, I think that we have recorded 2 deaths. That's unfortunate.
Okay.
But if it were in the past, it would have been more than that.
Okay, so 2 people have died.
So far, yes. One died on his way from Geturi to Bintiri. He was caught in the rain, and he didn't know that a crater had actually been created on the road. So he fell into it. Unfortunately, that was the end of his life. A community called Gagini, one little boy, children in water, whatever happened, when the parents were busy trying to salvage what they could, this child, out of nowhere, decided to swim in the water, and that also was the end of his life.
Oh.
So these two, unfortunately, we lost them. A third person got injured, and he's still going through treatment at the Bolgatanga Regional Hospital, and we are praying for him to recover.
So had the dam not broken its banks, this wouldn't have happened, right?
I wouldn't say so, because the Bintri area that I'm talking about and the Tripoli area, it's not about dam bursting, the bank.
Okay.
It is just about what we call floods everywhere. So it's not about dams, because many of those areas are low-lying. And so when it rains, the runoff is what has caused it. The dam issue is only the one that is at Vanish, which burst the bank and eroded the road and carried away the bridge. So that is it.
Okay.
Another looming threat is the dam in the regional capital, Malerive. That one too, we have a close eye on it, and some steps have been taken through the intervention of His Excellency the Vice President to quickly maintain it in order that that one too does not suffer the fate of the Bani Dam. So let me say that, yes, the experience of flooding is not all attributed to dams bursting their banks. It's not exactly the case.
Okay.
The only case is the Bani example. But for most parts of the East Mamprusi, the Yingo district, the Bumpungu Nakanduri, and the Tripoli district, it's just flooding. It's not as a result of dams bursting the bank.
Okay. Hold the line for me. Let me bring in the NADMO director for the Northeast region, Kweku Al-Hassan. Kweku, Mr. Al-Hassan, I'm grateful for joining us here. What is the extent of damage from all of these flooding situations in the region?
First of all, let me apologize to my minister for not updating him on the death toll. The death toll is 4, not 2. Because since yesterday we're having challenges with our network, so I wanted to give him the updates, but it wasn't possible. So the West Mamprusi municipality, we have 2 of the deaths. The East Mamprusi, we have 1. Yiyo Nanson, 1. So in all, the death toll is 4. Quite apart from that, I'm not sure there is anything new for me to add to what my boss, the regional minister, has said. Because I was part of the team that went around to do the assessment. And as he has indicated, what has happened to us or what has left behind is just about destruction. But what I can also say is to also thank government and NADMO for responding swiftly to the plight of the victims in the region. The Director General listed some relief items to Wale, and then also promised that some were coming by road. The day before yesterday, we received some of the items. Yesterday, we received some other items too. So I'm yet to meet with the regional minister and other stakeholders for us to see how we can do to help these victims. But then in the Bintiri area, there was this community, Jimbali, that was completely pulled down as a result of the flood. So we collaborated with the Ghana Education Service and released a particular school for us. We went to house them there. And we also provided them with some relief items and other logistics. Today and tomorrow we'll be going back to them and to see how best to support them. Like what my minister said, yes, the situation is not all that good, but government alone cannot handle the situation. We are appealing to other donor partners, churches and other religious organizations to also come out to support this victim.
Okay.
Restore them back to their normal status.
So what are the details of the dead? You said 4 people.
Yes.
Made up of who and who?
One of them is as a result of drowning, but one of them, who is a child, it was a room that collapsed on her and then died. Yes.
Which part?
That's the Yunans on district in a community called Sambusi.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a building collapse, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other 3 are drowning?
Yes, drowning, yes. Yes.
Are they, the minister said one person is a child. So apart from the child, are all the other three adults, or we've had more children?
No, the two are adults, but two are children.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. And so what sort of support are you giving to the people now as we speak?
Oh, we are giving them food items like rice, like oil, blankets, mattresses, buckets, and other cooking utensils. You know, their cooking utensils and most of their belongings have been washed away, and then they use food. So these are some of the supports we are giving to the people for now.
I see some people's produce were also, drenched in water, and they tried relocating those ones.
Yes.
Some people have been dislodged from their homes.
Yes.
And have you found a place for these people to keep them safe for now?
Like I said, over here, our people are such that when they are displaced and you try to provide them with a safe haven for them to go and stay there, sometimes some of them are not comfortable with that. They prefer going to be with their relatives. And when it happens like that, NADMO and other stakeholders, we don't have a problem with that. We only allow them to go and then stay with their relatives, and then whatever support that we have, we provide them. And those that agree with us to go and live in the safe havens, we take them to the safe havens and then make the necessary provisions for them to stay in there comfortably.
All right. So if someone decides to come in to offer support, what kind of support do you need?
Oh, the support can be in various forms. It could be food items, building materials, clothing, cooking utensils, even cash. It's also accepted because their businesses and other businesses have been disrupted. So the support can be in that form.
Okay. All right then. Let's see how it will go. But are you picking report of the situation today as we speak? What's the latest on this matter, on this flooding situation?
Like my minister indicated to you, see, some of the areas are not accessible, so you will not be able to get there. But we have the idea about what is happening there because the farmland, their rooms, and then the road network, the movement is actually difficult for them. But like I said, we are on the ground trying to see how best we can help the situation within our own capacity.
But the places that you can access, is the water receding?
Yeah, not as much, because I just want us to take our time to do the proper thing, because we have been able to do assessment in 66 communities across the region.
Okay.
66 communities across the region. So we are still doing the assessment. It's ongoing. So as and when we are done, we'll share the report with you.
All right. I pray that you are able to reach the hard-to-reach communities, because we don't know what's happening. I mean, you may be getting a report, but as to exactly what the extent, you may have to be there to see for yourself. So we pray that you are able to access these communities early. But let me get back to Mr. Yidana Zakaria. So we're also picking, information that probably the military should be involved here, so that you can reach these hard-to-reach communities. Is that something that you are considering?
I think that for now, we will make attempts with NABLE and other state institutions that are involved in this to try to see the best we can do. When it comes to that point where we will leave the military, we will do that. I don't want to be an alarmist. I hope and pray that we overcome this one too. So that is what I can say for now. Because for that to happen, the Regional Security Council would have to look and take a decision based on the reports that we received from the District Security Committee. And I think that when we get to that point, we will surely communicate that.
Okay.
But for now, we pray and hope that the rain will slow down, and then if the flooding recedes, we can begin to pick up the pieces.
So we also know that after the rains, we need water for the farms. There are a lot of farms up there. Going forward, any idea about harvesting the rainwater so that it could be put to use after or during the dry season?
I think that would be a very good thing to do. Well, yesterday, that was the conversation I had with some of the engineers. They were asking the question, if we have these volumes of water destroying and just running into wherever it has to go, what happens in the dry season when people will need it to farm? So they were also looking at the possibility that in any attempt to fix the road, given that we have the envelope of resources, it could be very good for us to think about how we can just contain some of the water in future so that people can use it for dry season farming. So that conversation is quite an interesting one. But of course, it comes with money that has to be budgeted for. So I believe that the authorities, including my good friends and all that others in the media, that conversation is good for us all to engage in.
But as I watched the videos from the community where the bridge had been destroyed, from the layman's eye, I saw that the asphalt that was applied to the road was a very thin one. And of course, I'm sure you've seen that. Is this something you're looking into to see why the contractor did such a job?
I'm not in position to query the quality of work that has been delivered. But if you listen to the engineers, they tell us that the collapse of the bridge is not due to poor engineering or poor work by the contractor. It is just that no engineering work would have been able to withstand the pressure of the water that accounted for the sequencing. But I believe what you are referring to is the minimal bridge. The contractor did the work and applied the first coat of bitumen surface. He was supposed to do a second one, but that is after you have allowed some time for the first one to dry up and for them to observe where they would need to do to get it properly done. That is where you are referring to. So let me say that from the information that I have had, it was just the first coat of bitumen surface that was done. So if you visit the site, even before the rain, the contractor was on site trying to secure the approaches of the road adjoining the bridge. That work was still ongoing before all this happened. But thankfully, that bridge in particular has not been destroyed. So what they only need to do is to come back and fill with gravel, ram it up, and then apply the bitumen surface.
All right. We'll still be keeping tabs on you to find out what's happening, because it's quite a situation when you hear that some communities have been cut off and you cannot access them at all. So our hearts are with you. We pray that things normalize so that things will be okay for you. But just before, Nadmo, Mr. Lassan, before I let you go, what sort of advice would you give the people in those areas who maybe could be listening to us?
I know it is not easy for them. I understand the situation that they are going through, but I'm only appealing to them to continue to be patient with the government and the leadership as we try to roll out measures to help them overcome this problem.
Okay.
And also, we are still in the midst of the race. I'm calling on them to be on the alert, and also to not to play with the flood waters, because when we need them alive. So they should be on the alert and be very cautious about their own safety going forward.
Okay. All right. Grateful to you for joining us here. John Kweku-Alhassan is the NADMO Director for the Northeast region. Earlier, you heard Yidana Zakaria. He is the regional minister for the Northeast region. So if you just joined us, the flooding situation in that area has resulted in the death of 4 persons, 2 adults and 2 children. One in East Mampusi, 2 in West Mampusi, and 1 in Unyo. So that is the breakdown for you. Very, very unfortunate situation. We understand that from the videos we're watching and information we're gathering, lives and properties, have been affected badly, and all the support they can muster will be hugely important for them. So if you're watching us and you feel that you can support them, kindly reach out to the people in the Northeast region.